Hey guys, welcome to the Good Old Gamer review discussion of Doom. I'm Chris, this is Joe, and let's get into it. So Joe, we all know probably at this point, due to the other video I posted, I was very much looking forward to Doom and super excited for it, even after the beta and all the hate that it got. However, you were pretty reserved on your opinions and hopes for the game. Now that you've played it, what do you think?
Well, I gotta say, I'm extremely happy overall. Like, it's maybe not the best game I've ever played, but as far as a single-player campaign goes, it nails a lot of the great things that FPSs do that make you really enjoy the game. I love it. It's overall very good. It's a little fast-paced for me. I mean, even to the point where it's hard. Like, I find myself in certain situations looking for power-ups like quad damage or invulnerability, but everything's moving so fast, and I'm trying not to die, that I don't see the power-up until after the battle's over. But overall, yeah, I got to say, I'm really pleasantly surprised. I was expecting it to be good, but I feel like it's great. I mean, there are little nitpicks I have about it. You know, I think you mentioned it before, and one of the more common things they deal with is the sound in the game. I think overall it's got great music and everything like that, but I do feel like the guns are a little muted and maybe not quite as impactful as they could be. But I don't know if that's necessarily a nitpick on the game or using the PC as a platform, because you can't get the rumble effect. And since I've been primarily a console gamer now for a while, unfortunately, maybe I've gotten a little spoiled or a little used to feeling the rumble.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, well, maybe because, you know, you just don't feel that shake in your hands. Maybe that's it. But I've been playing it, you know, past beating it. I think it took me only a day or so to beat the game, and I've kept playing it. That's how much fun it is. I just went right back into it and on a harder difficulty. Heck, just to challenge myself, I tried playing it on a controller. And honestly, playing with the controller didn't make any difference. The sound on certain weapons, part of it was my computer. I actually had my headphones plugged into the front ports, and the audio was actually pretty terrible. And then I plugged it into the actual motherboard, and the sound was better. So if anybody else is having a bit of an issue with their sound, try plugging directly into your sound card or into your motherboard, and that did fix it a pretty good bit for me. But yeah, like the shotgun, the combat shotgun, it just does not feel...
No,
you just don't feel the weapon. It just doesn't feel powerful. And, I mean, maybe it's not supposed to, because it's not a powerful weapon. But the chain gun was another one. It just didn't feel all that powerful. And because it was using the same ammo type as the heavy assault rifle or heavy machine gun or whatever that thing's called,
yeah.
You know, it doesn't have like 900 bullets, so it can't just be spraying out like a minigun. So, I mean, I know that they had to do some things, but it just doesn't feel like if you hear the minigun in Serious Sam or even in Brutal Doom, you're ripping some shit up. And
yeah,
in Doom, it's just like pop, 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 pop. You know, like those old Gatling guns, you know, back in the Civil War era.
You need that high-pitched whine that comes with the Gatling gun, or you know, the minigun spinning up, and it just, even that just kind of adds to it, in my opinion. But yeah, you're right. Those are just little nitpicks, though. Overall, like a stupid nitpick I have. I mean, and this is just more commentary on, I don't know, where we are in terms of what exactly kind of real stuff we put into the game, but this is in the future, and I've got a combat shotgun that can't fire in full auto, and to me that's utterly ridiculous. Now, I know there are combat shotguns today that we can buy that can fire in full auto.
Yeah,
they absolutely exist, but you're telling me these high-tech Marines in their Praetor suits or whatever, they don't have a full auto shotgun? You know, and then,
but then it wouldn't be Doom. That was the most classic part of the original Doom, because in all other first-person shooters, even Wolfenstein, you know, your weapons were pretty much static. I mean, I can close my eyes.
I can forgive that. I can forgive it, and the reason I can forgive it is because this was the early '90s. There was no sense of realism, and they just kind of threw things in there they thought were cool. You know what I mean? And the idea of a pump shotgun, I mean, first of all, a pump shotgun is the universal language. You could have a room full of people, have somebody walk in the backside of that room and pump a shotgun, and every head in there is going to turn in sheer panic. Because you hear that, and it just it terrifies you. So I'm perfectly okay in the sense that, like, I know why you have a combat shotgun in there that isn't full auto, but it's still a problem for me in terms of setting and just, I guess, immersion in a sense, because there's no reason for it to not be full auto. It is a combat shotgun. This is the future. They would have that. But there's also a problem that somebody apparently kept a relic of a double barrel shotgun that is somehow more powerful than an advanced combat shotgun. I mean,
Joe, come on, dude. It's the future. It's a shotgun from hell. I mean, I mean, we're on Mars, and you're like some sort of resurrected demon slayer from ancient time. You're basically Link, except instead of being reincarnated to save Hyrule, your job is to destroy minions of hell. I mean, come on, guy. I mean, there is no realism here. I don't think that's really what they're going for.
no, of course not. Of course not. I'm just saying, like, they use a sense of realistic weaponry. You've got a pistol, it's an energy pistol, fine. It's in the future, that makes sense. A shotgun. Okay, shotguns are still powerful, and I can't imagine they're going to go away anytime soon, but there's no reason a high-tech military installation would not have, with the high-tech guards and weaponry, would have anything but a full auto shotgun, or at least the ability to have like a mod. Like, if one of the mods was to make it full auto, perfectly okay with that.
Well, I mean, you have the charge shot that shoots 3. I mean, so it's kind of superior to full auto.
Yeah, again, this is just a minor nitpick. We're spending way more time on it than I probably thought about. But I just say, like, overall, like, I understand why game-wise. I don't understand why lore-wise. Like, there's no reason for that not to be the case. If we have a double-barrel shotgun, fine, that makes sense. I should have a full auto shotgun as well. That's just the way I look at it. There's no reason for it not to exist. The heavy assault rifle, it's futuristic, whatever. There's even the pulse rifle and whatnot. Perfectly okay with all those things. But I just can't wrap my head around why there's not a full auto shotgun, or at least a mod. Like, that should have been one of the mods, in my opinion. Anyway, stupid nitpick. We spent way more time on it than I intended. But
well, maybe in the future that might be something that they add. You never know. Speaking of weapons, what do you think about how they did the chainsaw? It's no longer just something you hold down the button, you just run into stuff for hours on end. Like, it's actually strategic now.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it's a great way to use it, because it really, you're low on ammo, boom, pop your chainsaw out, really dig into somebody, and especially if you have enough gas, you could take down a Hell Knight or even a Baron. And I thought that's awesome. Like, that is some of the best stuff in the game. What I don't like is that the ammo goes away. It's like on a timer. Yeah. And that sucks donkey balls, as far as I'm concerned, because you chained into somebody, and then you've got 3 other Hell Knights chasing you around, or 2 other Barons or whatever, and you're wasting all your fucking ammo anyway, and you can't go back and pick up any of the ammo because it's been 5 seconds. And that would have been nice. But I understand it also kind of keeps you moving frantically, so you're not... You have to switch weapons. You've got to change your tactics. I understand game-wise in a sense, but it kind of sucks that they don't stick around.
Yeah, I can kind of agree to that. I mean, I just like how the dynamic of the chainsaw has its own, I guess you could say, strategy to it. You don't just bust it out all the time.
Right.
You pick the right enemies at the right time. I mean, sometimes I would go after imps because it uses less gas. I just need some ammo. Or if I'm getting mobbed by, 5 Barons, it's like, okay, I need to just get rid of one of you guys quick. Just take them out. But, yeah, I like that. And then, of course, with the BFG, it's the same thing. It's kind of a specialty weapon. It's not even on the weapon wheel. It's one of those, you set your own key command for it. And, I mean, to me, the BFG still feels like the BFG. Things just go to hell and get destroyed when you shoot it.
Well, the BFG is kind of the holy grail of weapons for any FPS that I've ever played. I mean, maybe because it was more like the original badass gun that, the BFG, the big fucking gun. That's what I always heard it was. I don't know if there's a different description or, use acronym there, but overall, like, that is the gun. When you need to go to hell, you better be packing a BFG, and I love that gun. I mean, it's the greatest gun in the history of gaming as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you can put up anything you want, but if you're going to come up with a list of games and the weapons in them and the best guns, BFG's at the top.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I just like how you have limited ammo, so you can't just run around and just mow down bosses and everything else.
Of course, they did a lot of good things to make the game tactical and to make you switch your tactics. Like, you can't just stick to one gun. Chances are you're not going to have enough ammo for each encounter. Like, I love the heavy assault rifle. That was my favorite, and I loved using the sniper scope on it. And to me, that was my favorite weapon in the game. And then, but I'll tell you, every time I saw a Beholder come out, or a Mancubus, or a Baron, I switched over to the double barrel shotgun because it's more powerful than a rocket launcher. I found the rocket launcher relatively not useless, but I can shoot a freaking Mancubus in the head 3 times with my double barrel shotgun and stun him, but I can lock on with 3 rockets and hit the Mancubus, and he keeps walking at me. You know, and so you switch your tactics, but that is one thing that also bothered me. I just kind of came out there organically. I apologize. Should have brought that up earlier. But overall, I do like that they kept the game fluid and kept you needing to move about and keep changing tactics in order to stay viable.
Yeah, you were always moving. The whole game, it's just fluid. And speaking of motion, the whole game is so smooth. The animations are so smooth in this game. Like, I can't even akin it to anything else. There's no other game that plays as smooth and fluidly as Doom does. I mean...
Absolutely. And not only that, looks as good as it does.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is gorgeous. Talk about optimization. Sorry about that. Apparently the headset decided to stop working. So I guess I'll switch over to the Kinect.
Alrighty.
But no, what I was saying was, I mean... not only does it run silky smooth, it looks amazing. I mean, it is an incredibly optimized game. And overall, I don't think I've played a game that has run that well. I mean, I'm looking...
Yeah, that looked that good and ran that well.
I know. It's insane. I got an old 940 running at 3.5 gigahertz. I've got a GTX 970, and... I was not expecting to be able to run that game at a consistent 60 frames per second like I did without, I don't think, any frame rate drops. I don't think I experienced one. It was incredible. Like, I really got to hand it to ID on that. Well-optimized game, ran smooth, looked beautiful, and it is one of the best-looking games I've seen in a while. It is gorgeous.
Yeah, their use of the temporal super sampling anti-aliasing. That's what the TSSAA is. Sorry, that's a mouthful, and it's just kind of hard to remember all those acronyms. But there's no shimmering, there's no jaggies, and when you add that with the constant, high frame rate, and you add that with the smooth animations, it's an experience, especially on PC. Actually, even on console, from what everybody's saying with their their adjustable resolution or whatever, even on consoles, it runs basically at 60 frames per second with the same anti-aliasing and everything. It's basically an experience you've just never had before.
Yeah, it was actually shocking. I mean, I remember when I first loaded into the game, I was like 60 frames per second. Holy crap. And I was like, okay, well, I'm about to start moving, and there's no way it's going to keep up. But it did, especially at the rate you're moving. I mean, it's processing a ton of information constantly because you were moving so fast. It's not a slow-paced game where it doesn't have to compute or, I guess, render quite as much because you're a little more static. You don't move as much. I mean, it had to produce everything at a quick pace, and it kept up, and I was supremely shocked. And right there, I mean, that's one of the main reasons this game is as great as it is, because the gameplay aside, it ran so well that you could enjoy it. There was no frame dips where you're like, oh, God damn it, like, it was perfect.
It didn't break the immersion. You just felt like you were in there and you kept going. There was no frame dips where you're just like, oh, I'm back out, and then you had to get back in.
Yeah, exactly. Good point.
Yeah. So I was watching a video on YouTube, and Digital Foundry was actually talking about it, and they were going through all the points. I'll put a link in the description. They'll go through details on this stuff. Those guys are very detailed when it comes to this stuff. But they're saying, and I agree, this is probably the most polished engine for this generation. And
Absolutely.
It'd be really nice to see people start using the id Tech 6 engine and start making more games, kind of like what they did with the Unreal Engine 3, because Honestly, as of right now, I would say this is probably the best engine I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's nothing that touches it. Nothing in recent memory. I mean, even Dice's Frost engine, gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, but not running like that. On older hardware too. I mean, my hardware is, except for the video card, 6 years old. 5 years old, six.
2008, so probably close to 8 years old.
I don't think it's 8 years old. Holy crap! But
it's up there.
I mean, on such old hardware, I mean, if anything, I mean, it should not run the way it does on my computer. I was incredibly shocked. So, yeah, I got to say, very, very impressed, and I would love to see more of that be used, absolutely. If that engine could get out there. Like I said, Frost engine is gorgeous, and even the Snowdrop engine, I mean, that's kind of close in my opinion. I have never played the Division on PC, but I got to say, that ran really well. So the Snowdrop engine was nice, and I like that, but I don't think anything is really holding a candle to what I just experienced in Doom.
I agree. All right, so now technical stuff aside, actual gameplay. I mean, I love the game. I don't want to throw any spoilers out there for anybody.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
What, the gameplay?
No, like talking about it without giving away spoilers.
Well, I mean, you're going to get a little bit, but for the most part, I'm not going to tell you how the game progresses. I mean, it's not a very story-heavy game. I'd say the biggest spoiler is the fact that they actually make Doom Guy a person. He's not,
a thing.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, there's lore behind him, and I mean, it's cool. It's filler. It doesn't really matter, but
some of the coolest stuff in there, speaking of, I mean, is when you first go to hell and you get basically what sound like prophecies from hell about Doom Guy. And obviously I'm not going to spoil any of it, but just listening to the prophecies and the way they talk about it, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. I honestly thought that was probably the best part of the whole story type thing, which, like I said, isn't a big deal in the game. But the fact that Doom Guy isn't just some faceless Marine anymore, there's actually some backstory, I guess you could say, and which I kind of spoiled a little bit earlier. But if you missed it, well, we'll continue on. I'll try not to spoil anymore. But yeah, that was very interesting. But overall, I really enjoyed the single-player campaign. The game's getting a ton of accolades, and I'm really glad that the campaign is receiving, the positive attention that it is.
And it's extremely deserving too. This is not a game where you see a review on IGN like Call of Duty that's giving it like a 9.2, even though it's the same rehashed game you've played the last 3 times. This is a completely different new experience that we've never really been given, and it blew my socks off, and it deserves every accolade. Unlike, like I said, some of the Call of Duty games or whatever, it absolutely deserves every accolade it gets.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely blended a lot of old school, like staples, no reloading, the fast motion. But actually, one of the big things that I found really cool was the verticality. That's new. In Doom, it was pretty flat. There was verticality, but like you couldn't even look up.
There was a serious amount of platforming in this.
Yeah, and that, like, the levels and areas aren't huge. It's not like Serious Sam where you literally have like 5 square miles and then there's monsters everywhere. In this, there were a lot smaller, but there was a lot of levels involved, so it made the battles very hectic and just interesting how you could attack a situation.
Absolutely, totally agree.
Yeah.
One nitpick I have on the gameplay, not really a nitpick. This is more a minor gripe, so it's a little more than a nitpick. But I would say that I wasn't completely in love with is the glory kills. Overall, I liked the idea, but I felt the game was way too dependent on it. Maybe not dependent, because you could totally play the game without doing glory kills. You would lose out on a lot of health, to keep you moving. But if you're good enough, you could probably do it. But I really felt like every kill I was just aiming for a glory kill, and there was only so many animations. So either they needed more animations or they needed to lessen the need for you to do it, because it just kind of got repetitive to a degree where it was like that was really the only detractor playing through
was glory kill, glory kill, glory kill, same animation, same animation.
I agree. I instantly, like, even on my first hands-on impression, the first thing that I did was I turned off that stupid highlighter. I'm like, I don't want to know. If I want to go in for a glory kill, I'll figure it out. I thought that was a major detractor, like you said. And my real issue with the glory kills are it happens on every enemy every time.
Right.
Unless you use like a BFG or something, you just nuke them when they have low health or something. It happens every time. I think it should have been more random and made it, feel a little bit more special. Like I
agree. That would be a good way to mitigate. Absolutely. That's smart.
Yeah, just maybe 1 out of 10 guys do it, or 1 out of 5. Even 1 out of 5, I think would have been fine. And you'd have to watch out for it too, especially if you turn off the highlighter.
Right.
You'd really have to pay attention for them, and I think that would have been a good fix for that. But
I agree. I think that would have been smart.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think out of the campaign, that's really my only real gripe. That, and it wasn't the 14 hours that we were promised. I think
I mean, maybe not for you. You're pretty good at this kind of stuff, so I've been a little slower about it. So I got to say, I don't know that it was quite, 10 hours, but it was probably not hitting quite 14. But still, I enjoyed every second of it. This is a game that I don't feel, even if I paid $60 for the game and I beat it in 6 hours, it was worth every goddamn penny for me to play that game.
Oh, yeah, I'm not complaining. I just wish there was more of it. However, at the same token, I do feel that the game ended when it needed to. Because by the time I got to the end, I had cleared enough rooms of the tougher enemies, which does get really chaotic.
Yes.
I don't care how good you are. You're going to be running around just throwing grenades at the ground, trying to run away. I mean,
you are a chicken with its head cut off that is armed to the teeth.
Yeah, pretty much. And you just got to just throw whatever you can at them whenever you can. If you haven't played it, it gets very hectic because you're jumping up all these different levels.
You end up shooting walls just because you're trying to turn to shoot people, but they're moving pretty fast too. So you're just shooting walls and wasting ammo some of the times, yeah.
Yeah. But I felt after you cleared enough of those harder rooms, the game concluded. So I think it it paced itself properly on that front. Like I said, I just wish that there was more of it, maybe slowed up the pace a little bit more. However, the game, to me, I guess this is also another negative that I had. I felt that it took a little while to kind of get into its groove.
I agree.
Because, you get your shotgun and your pistol pretty much right away. And then, I mean, I know that there's secrets where you can get the better weapons a little bit earlier, but you're not actually given anything besides the shotgun for, I think, 3 or 4 levels.
No, that's not true. I found the heavy assault rifle pretty early. I think I found one of the secrets. So I had that. I found the pulse rifle after that because I was wondering why then on my when I hit 3, nothing happened. I'd hit 4 and the heavy assault rifle would pop up. But yeah, you're right. For the first probably 3 levels, I think in the 3rd level you can find the assault rifle. I can't remember to be specific, but I know I found it earlier than I should have.
Oh yeah, no, I went back and got all the secrets, and yeah, you can get the guns earlier. But if you don't, which my first playthrough, it was really late at night. It was when the game first launched, and it had a 5 gigabyte download straight away. And, it's Steam, so it took for freaking ever, on launch day. And so it was like 3 or 4 in the morning before I really kind of got into it. And so I was kind of just playing just to play, because I'm like, I waited all night, I want to play Doom. And
right.
So I missed all the secrets at the beginning, and I can't remember. I think it literally was 3 or 4 levels of just the shotgun, and I was like, come on, guys. I mean, I do like the secondary fire modes. It at least made the same weapon a little bit more interesting, but yeah, it did feel a little bit slow for me anyway.
Well, I kind of, I don't know, fits in because at first you're just, well, you know what, there I am going to start talking about the story and maybe spoilers. But overall, I don't feel like it detracted. I feel like it was something where could they've given me a second gun, a third gun for that matter, or how about more mods, straight out of the gate? Maybe that would have been better, some variety. But I got to say, I really don't feel like that detracted. I can agree that it would have been nicer to get something sooner, but for me it wasn't really a problem because what did you have? You got the shotgun. I mean,
yeah, you don't really need
shotgun
anything
in Doom.
else.
Yeah, either you hold that gun for a later level, the shotgun, and make it amazing, or you refresh everybody's memory on what it's like to play Doom, give them the shotgun quick, and let them go shoot shit. And I kind of agree with going with that, because who is this game really targeted at? Don't get me wrong, it's targeted at the modern audience, but it's also very much targeted at the kids who were maybe 15 playing this game back in the 90s. Maybe getting into their 20s almost, and now they're 40 to 50 years old, or in my case 30, and I was a little younger playing it, but 32, and it brought back instant memories picking up that shotgun. I gotta say, like, having the shotgun was awesome to get right away. It may have been a little bit of a stretch because you didn't really get anything else too quickly, but that was pretty much instant boner, getting the shotgun and going around.
Oh yeah, I mean, every Doom game you usually get the shotgun straight away, because let's face it, the pistol's pretty terrible. I did like the secondary fire on the pistol. If you got headshots, it was actually pretty good if you charged it up. So it was actually somewhat useful, and I used it obviously to save ammo.
Yeah.
Speaking of ammo, the upgrade system, what did you think of that? I thought it was okay. I thought it was a little strange that I could only hold 20 shotgun shells originally, and then come to find out in the later levels you can then upgrade your ammo capacity. I thought that was kind of okay, but I was just like, I would have rather just found a backpack at some point, traditional Doom, and hey, now I can hold more ammo. Instead of limiting it so much at the beginning. Because if you don't do the ammo upgrade, you just don't have enough to kill anything, especially later on.
I think, again, that's a tactical decision, because it keeps you moving. You've got to think about finding ammo. You can't just go at it and just keep shooting shit in the face. You've got to be tactical. You've got to, run through your opponents. You got to shoot a couple, kill one or two, jump to where some ammo is, reload, jump back in. It kind of keeps you from going just on a complete tear, because you are on a tear. I mean, you are just going nuts the entire time at full speed. But I like the idea of not carrying too much ammo, at least straight away, because it kind of forced you to be more dynamic and change your strategy, as opposed to just running around, circling people, shooting them. You've got to keep moving. You've got to find ammo. You've got to, bounce around. So for me, that was okay. I didn't really have a problem with it.
Well,
but the upgrade system. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't think of it this way, but perhaps it was a good way for id to kind of force you to kind of search out all these secrets and to upgrade your guy. And I guess that would kind of make sense, because if it wasn't for things like that, because I didn't really care about any of the other powers so much, because traditional Doom guy. But more ammo is always welcome. So, but I did. I went out and I searched for those Argent Energies, so this way I could just have more ammo and just, slaughter more enemies.
Oh, absolutely. Overall, I like the upgrade system. I mean, if I have any nitpicks, it's basically like lore-wise. Like, you find these elite guards and you take a chip out of them, and somehow you get an upgrade to your suit, or you get an upgrade point. Overall, definitely something to do, because it kind of gives you almost an RPG element to the game. It's not really an RPG, but in any way, obviously. But that's like one small element that kind of adds to the game. I don't think it detracted in any way, and I like that you've got the overarching upgrades of, your health, your armor, and your ammo. By the way, I just put everything into ammo initially, because I figure I need to have more ammo to kill things. I just have to be better at the game and not get shot as much.
Offense is the best defense, guys. Offense is the best defense.
That's how I saw it. So I went everything into ammo at first. I think I put 4 points into ammo before I put a point into anything. And I like that, but then I liked also the individual upgrades to the different guns and, their mods and whatnot. And I really thought I liked it overall. It was nice to have something else just in the game where you can kind of pick and choose what you want to upgrade now, and how it could affect the game.
I did like it too, because there are only so many weapons in the game. As much as I was complaining about before that it took a while to get your first guns, well, once you do, you kind of just roll and you get them all, and then you have them all. So the upgrade system, what that allows you to do is change your weapons and make them fresh again. So instead of the game having like 20 or 30 guns in it, which would just be a nightmare to control, especially on a controller, even on a keyboard, there's only so much you can do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, being able to switch between mods, it essentially gave you different modes. Like, as much as I was complaining about the chain gun earlier, there was a mode to turn it into like a dual firing turret, and that thing shot really fast.
Yeah, and I like that turret mod. That was one of my favorite mods on the weapons, absolutely.
Yeah, see, to me, that's what the chain gun should just kind of be stock. But, at least they had that in there, so that was a gripe that I had earlier, but I guess you can't really gripe too much. Unless, you only get 215 bullets maxed out. I would have liked 999, but, that's just me. and no overheating, maybe as a perk. No overheating and unlimited ammo. Let's go with that. But that's what Snap Map is for. Did you try out any of the Snap Map?
I did not. I gotta say, the beta completely put me off to the multiplayer. Like, I didn't even want to try it. I had no interest whatsoever. And because I knew it wouldn't be any different. It's not as if I knew there was any great changes coming down the pipelines. I would have tried it again. But it was the same thing that you got in the beta, pretty much. So for me, I got my fill in the beta, and I had absolutely zero interest in wasting my time again.
Oh, well, you should check out the Snap Map because it's not all multiplayer. But maybe you shouldn't. Like I did, I checked it out. I'm not really big at creating stuff, so I mean, I get a little addicted, so I just tried to stay away from it, honestly. I was like, if I get into this, I'm not going to stop. So I just played some of the ones that, everybody voted on, the top-rated ones. And it's kind of cool. Like, one guy tried to recreate one of the Doom levels, and I was like, oh, cool. And, it didn't look anything or felt anything like the original Doom level, and I was just like, yeah, okay. And I don't know, I was just pretty turned off by that. As far as the multiplayer goes, it's pretty much unchanged from the beta. I am a little bit let down with the fact that it's very basic game modes. I thought they would have almost like a traditional game mode type, or a hardcore type, and then have the ones that we played in the beta, which is kind of more console friendly. And it's not in there right now. Maybe they'll do something later. But honestly, my biggest gripe with the multiplayer, I'm probably going to have a video up of me playing right now. In this match, I went 17-4, and this isn't uncommon. I either do really, really well like this, or then your team gets wrecked and you just get destroyed by like 50 points. The big thing is, it's the Demon Rune. The Demon Rune, it's cool, but it's also the worst part about the multiplayer. You become an unstoppable juggernaut. For what? You just happen to spawn in the right spot? I've been saying this since the beta. What they really need to do is have 30-second timer on this Demon Rune thing, if you want to keep it in the game, and let teams fight over it. And whoever wins gets the thing, and then just have the demon run around for about 10 seconds. All right, just destroy and be unstoppable for 10 seconds. I think that's enough of a win to kind of spice up multiplayer, and I think that would be great. But, I mean, once you get the rune, you're good for like a minute or 2 minutes, and you can kill everything that you see in this amount of time. I think it just kind of destroys the multiplayer. Like, as much fun as I had in the beta and how much fun I can have with it, I honestly just think it's a big letdown with the mechanics and just how unbalanced it is. In a way, it kind of feels like Titanfall. Like when your whole team has Titans, you've already won.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just roll the whole map, or the whole match, and it's the same feeling that I have in this game. Like, it's fun, but it's just not... It's not balanced enough, especially not for a competitive player where skill matters more than luck. And, when I see luck players doing well, it pisses me off. So...
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can totally see what you're talking about. Absolutely. I mean, I barely played, so it's not for me to talk about specifically. But, I can totally hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that maybe they could fix in the future, add different game modes. Like I said, if you have two separate lists, the list that we have now, that could be the kid-friendly list that, grown-ups won't play. And then you can have, like, a competitive list where there's no Demon Rune, there's no one-shot kill weapons. Just make it more competitive and more skill based. But I will say that I do like the Warpath idea, where you have a moving point that you have to control versus just a static point, like in a lot of games. Or they'll have like the point move to another part of the map. I like how it's like on a track and you can kind of plan things out. So they did some cool stuff, but they screwed up some other stuff. It's not something that I would buy the game for, but as we were talking about, honestly, buy the game for the campaign. If you like the multiplayer, great. It's free. It's extra. You're paying your $60 to play the campaign.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's nothing really bad to say about the single player, but I could rant for quite a bit of time about how bad the multiplayer was. As far as I'm concerned, I did not enjoy it one bit, so I can't endorse that part of the game. But for me, your $60 is well worth purchasing it just for the single-player campaign alone.
Yeah, this is probably the only game that I beat and then went straight back to and played it through again in a long time. And I can't even remember the last game I did that with.
Not only that, but I mean, just going through and finding the secrets and the hidden levels and stuff like that. I gotta say, if you did play any of the original Dooms, the nostalgia alone, is actually pretty awesome. Like just on that token, you definitely need to give the single player campaign a try. So maybe if at the very least you want to wait for it to go on sale, whatever, but definitely need to get it. As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is if you're a first person shooter fan at all, this is a game that's worth checking out at least at some point.
I agree.
Yeah, maybe $60 is a little bit much to swing for just a 8-hour campaign for some people. To me, it's worth it, but not to everybody. But I'd say this game is for everybody at $20 or $30. There should be nobody who doesn't own this game at that point if they like first person shooters.
Absolutely.
Well, alrighty, guys. This is Chris and Joe, and this is our discussion of Doom. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and hope you guys have a good night.
Have a good night.